So today, we are making a simpler version of what is considered to be one of the most classic dishes that hail from Spain. We are talking fideuà. This is basically a Spanish seafood pasta. And let me tell you, we've already done an authentic Spanish fideuà recipe here on Spain on a Fork, but like I just told you, this is a simpler version, which means it's easier to make. Uses ingredients that are a lot more accessible, but the flavors are still going to be right on the money, like the fideuàs that they serve in Spain, folks. We're talking a one-pan pasta dish that comes together in just 40 minutes, and it promises to fill your body with so much Spanish goodness. Let's begin by grabbing a paella pan. The size of this one is 12 inches in diameter, which is about 30 centimeters. Of course, to make this dish, you can also use a standard fry pan. I'm going to heat it with a medium heat, and we'll add in about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, which is 30 milliliters. While the olive oil is heating, I'm going to measure out 1 1/4 cups of fideos, which is 225 grams. Fideos are basically small cut spaghetti, and you can easily find these at your supermarket. But let me tell you, if you can't, you can also use elbow macaroni here. However, you're going to need 2 1/4 cups. That way, once again, it's 225 grams. After heating the olive oil for about 1 minute, I'm going to add in the fideos into the pan. And we'll mix the fideos around, that way they're all coated in that olive oil, and we're going to saute them between 3 to 4 minutes or until they're lightly browned. And let me tell you, by taking this step, it gives the fideos a beautiful aromatic flavor as well as an incredible texture. After about 4 minutes, we'll remove the fideos from the pan and set them aside. Now, using the same pan with the same heat, I'm going to add in another 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, which once again is 30 milliliters. And we'll add in 1 small onion that's been finely chopped, 1 red bell pepper that's been finely chopped, and 4 cloves of garlic that have been roughly chopped. And we'll mix the vegetables around, that way they're all coated in that olive oil. And once again, we're going to go for about 3 to 4 minutes here, or until those vegetables are lightly sauteed. Once the vegetables are lightly sauteed, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of sweet smoked Spanish paprika, which is 2.5 grams. And we'll give it a quick mix, that way the paprika is evenly coating all the vegetables. And like I always tell you, when you add in paprika into a hot pan, you want to mix it in there quickly, otherwise it can easily get a bitter flavor. Then we'll add in 1 cup of tomato sauce, which is 225 grams. And we'll season with a kiss of sea salt and freshly cracked black pepper. And we'll give it a mix, that way everything's evenly mixed together, and then simmer it for a couple minutes. As always, the tomato sauce that I'm using, I made by finely grating fresh tomatoes, but you can substitute it for half the amount of canned tomato sauce or even passata. After about 4 minutes, and the tomato sauce has slightly thickened, I'm going to add in 2.5 cups of fish broth, which is about 600 milliliters. You'll find a link where you can get the Spanish fish broth I'm using for this recipe in the description box below. And we'll also pinch in a 1/4 teaspoon of saffron threads, which is 0.17 grams. Then we'll raise the heat to a high heat and give it a mix and bring that broth to a boil. As always, the saffron I'm using is from Golden Saffron, truly some of the best saffron in the market. You'll find a link where you can get some in the description box below as well. Once the broth comes to a boil, I'm going to add in the fideos back into the pan. And we'll give it 1 final mix, that way everything's evenly distributed. And just like a paella, you don't want to overmix the fideos, otherwise they're going to start releasing their starch and they're going to lose their beautiful texture. In the meantime, let's start getting our seafood ready. I'm going to add in 2 7-ounce cod fillets over some paper towels, which are 200 grams each, and pat them completely dry. Now, the cod fillets I'm using, I bought frozen and thawed out just to make things easier and cheaper. However, you can totally use fresh cod here, as well as any other type of firm white fish. Then we'll season the cod fillets with sea salt and freshly cracked black pepper, and cut each fillet into small bite-sized pieces. Then we'll add 15 raw jumbo shrimp that have been peeled and deveined over some paper towels, and once again, pat them completely dry. And once again, the shrimp that I'm using I bought frozen and thawed out just to make things easier and cheaper. And we'll season the shrimp with sea salt and black pepper just on one side. Okay, let's move back to the pan. It's been about 6 minutes since I added the fideos in there, and as you can see, the majority of that broth has been absorbed, but there's still a little bit of broth left. For the next step, I'm gonna add in the pieces of cod, making sure they're evenly spread out. And we'll also add in the shrimp, making sure they're all in a single layer. Then we'll lower the fire to a low-medium heat, and we're gonna simmer this for another 2 to 3 minutes on a low-medium heat, or until all that fish broth has been absorbed by the fideos. After a couple minutes, and there's virtually no broth left in the pan, I'm gonna remove it from the heat, and we'll cover it with a dishcloth and let it sit here for a couple minutes. You know, by trapping that steam in there, it's gonna ensure that the fideos are fully cooked through. After a couple minutes, I'm gonna uncover the pan, and we'll garnish with a couple lemon wedges and a sprinkle of finely chopped fresh parsley. Check it out, our very simple fideua's done, a Spanish seafood pasta. So easy to make, incredible presentation, and it's got the most beautiful aromas coming out of it. Let's give it a try and see how it turned out. All right, folks, time for the moment of truth. Let's see how this turned out. Absolutely delicious. Everything is perfectly cooked through. So important to add that seafood towards the end. If you add it in there too early, it's gonna overcook and have a horrible tough texture. You saw this, a very simple Spanish fideuà, easy to make. You know, you serve this next to a crunchy baguette and a bottle of Spanish wine, you're gonna have yourself an instant trip to beautiful España. Real quick before I go, shout out to a couple of my patrons, Ellen Young, Michael Macaulay, Ronald Kemp, and Adalai. Again, guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Spain on the Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. Leave me a comment below, and as always, don't forget to share this video with your family and friends. That way our Spain on the Fork community can continue to grow. Till the next time, hasta luego.